I'm really excited to get into this conversation. And the first and most important piece is to introduce you to our two fantastic experts who are here with us today. They're going to share their insights based on their own unique experience when it comes to sustainability. First, I'm thrilled to introduce Perrin Crews. Perrin is the manager of corporate social responsibility at FedEx and has been with the company for 5 years. In his role, he leads a team responsible for sustainability reporting and disclosures. He also coordinates enterprise efforts across sustainability impact teams in support of the FedEx goal of global carbon neutral operations by 2040. Hi, Perrin. Great to have you here with us.
Hey there. Hey, everybody.
Wonderful. And next we have Brenda Rios. Brenda Rios is the visionary force behind Studio Tales. She is weaving her passion for sustainability and love for animals into a brand that stands as a beacon for conscientious pet care. Brenda's journey is more than just creating another dog gear brand. It's about pioneering sustainable lifestyle for pet owners. Studio Tales isn't a trend, it's a movement. Brenda comes from a background in marketing of 7 years. She graduated in 2016 from Cal State Long Beach. Studio Tales is her first business and pandemic project come to life. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here.
So great to have both of you here. So let's go ahead and just jump into our discussion today. And Perrin, I would love to start with you. What is sustainability and what does a sustainably minded business really look like?
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks again, AOF, for having us, and good to be next to you, Brenda, as we're talking on this topic. So love to hearing your bio there too. So very cool. Yeah, so sustainability. I think today we're going to hone in on specifically on environmental sustainability. So just kind of being clear about that up front and kind of see that as the responsible and efficient use of our resources that works to maintain life on in our planet's natural environment, and hopefully sustaining life for our current generation and those to come. I think that second part of your question is an interesting one. It's a good one about sustainably minded businesses, because we know that inherently economic activity in business, they generate an impact on our environment. And so in that light, we got to think about our economic efficiency in the market. And so how can you as a business owner deliver that unique value that you have in the market in the most efficient and resourceful way possible? At FedEx, we call that our practical sustainability philosophy, where it's really our strategic work to mitigate the impact of our network while delivering that value to the economies at large, but also to our customers. And kind of to that end, two things that I look at tying back to the goals of today's session is really aspiration and then implementation. So aspiration, thinking about what goals can you set, what are the next steps that you can take, and it's that's really important in setting your vision. And then almost more importantly is the implementation on those aspirations. So it's how you're going to realize the value that you come up with, and I can't wait to hear more from Brenda on how she's realizing that value, but also helps you generate that credibility in the market. And so before you even begin communicating that journey with your stakeholders, you really want to make sure that you've been thinking through what are your aspirations and how are you going to or are already implementing on those.
Oh, such important pieces to have the two-sided, where do you want to be and how can you really put those into action? So another question for you, Perrin. Sustainability is such a broad term. How do you set short-term and long-term goals around sustainability, and how can you stay accountable to those goals?
Yeah, okay. Two right off the bat. Love it. Well, yeah, sustainability may be a broad term, but I'd say for those on the call, your business is not a broad or a new term for you. So let maybe start where we feel most at home. Take a stock of your mission and your operating model and your business value, and reflect on how that's working. What are the successes? What are the pain points? Take sustainability out of the equation for a second, and where are the opportunities that you can improve on that, both from an efficiency and resource standpoint. I think finding those ways to embed sustainability and those choices kind of into your decision making. And those ideas could be differentiating for you. I think Brenda and Studio Tales is a great example of that. Is really bringing in that circularity element into materials and goods. So applaud you for that. I'm glad to be there. I think, as you know, on the goal setting standpoint, FedEx has the long-term goal to have carbon neutral operations by 2040. And those are really tied back to our company values and our broader vision for the future. And sometimes those are even aspirations for things outside of our control, new technology to be developed, et cetera. And we really guide our actions across the Purple Promise, which is to make every FedEx experience outstanding. And so I think more and more you're starting to see the long-term health of our planet and sustainability tied into that. And so how we're bringing that into life, we're stepping down, let's go down a level and talk about short-term goals. Is what are those realistic milestones? What can we see today, and how can our team members engage tangibly and tactically on executing that? And so we have three big buckets, I'd say, that we put that into for goal setting, and that's our vehicles, our aircraft, and our facilities, and how we can really show tangible leadership and progress in the market. So we have some interim purchase goals related to vehicles. Some interim purchase goals on those vehicles for our pickup and delivery fleet. Within our aviation sector, we have goals around aircraft efficiency, as well as procuring sustainable aviation fuel. And that represents a big pie, about 61% of our emissions globally. And then our how we're procuring clean energy within our facilities. So as we make that transition over to electrification of our vehicles, that our facilities are going to become that power source. So we're really thinking about how these initiatives all complement one another in a very complex way. But how can we distill that out to a broader audience? And I just real quickly, I'd say on the accountability piece, reporting that out, my team manages those voluntary disclosures and reports. And so putting them out there for everyone to see and continue to talk about that, as well as execution and the initiatives taking place. So hopefully not too long-winded there, but that's a brief snapshot, and we can dive into it more later.
Yeah, that's super helpful, especially when you talk about, sharing what you're doing with your audience or with your clients. That's a great way to, stay accountable and build that trust with them. So Brenda, you have a sustainable brand inside and out. And I would love to ask you, could you share a few examples of ways small businesses can improve their sustainability of their entire operation?
Yeah, definitely. And I think in this day and age, it has never been easier to go green or try to go green. And it can be as easy as reduce, reuse, recycle. If you can implement a recycling program, encourage people in your company, like even outside your following, to reuse items. I like to say that our products are literally made of trash. Our leashes, collars, and harnesses are literally made from recycled plastic webbing. And we're able to do that because people recycle plastics. You can also go as easy as digitizing your operations, try to transition to digital, try to reduce your paper usage. We try to be as green as possible. So all of our packaging, from our mailers to our fillers to our hang tags, are made from either recycled materials or materials such as paper, or other biodegradable materials. So there's a lot of options for that. Anything that you can think of, from product to packaging, there's a green version to it. Also, I think raising awareness and educating people in your company. I mean, you may think that you know how to compost, but or your other coworker, you might think that they also know, but no, there's also better ways to recycle. So just raising that education and awareness I think it's also important to have your business be as sustainable as possible. But I think any company can go green, and like Perrin said, FedEx is trying to go carbon neutral by 2040. There's also carbon credits. We buy carbon credits every year to try to be also carbon neutral. And there's so many companies out there that you can choose from. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah, I love what you said in the beginning that now it's easier than ever to make your business more sustainable, and right down to the just educating the people who are in your realm more about what it takes to be sustainable. It really builds that like brand identity, like we are a sustainable brand. It's in everything we do. I love that. Okay, so another question for you, Brenda. I know you shared some already, but what are some creative ideas small business owners could consider specifically to make their packaging and or shipping more sustainable?
Yeah, definitely. As Perrin said, FedEx is a great option to go carbon neutral. So there's a lot of services out there that can help your business with carbon neutral delivery. There's, as I mentioned, packaging. There's bubble wrap fillers made from either recycled materials or materials that are biodegradable. But as I mentioned, anything that you can think of, there's a green version for it there. Our hang tags and the string that ties the hang tag to the product is also made from a type of craft material. So I think if you can try to be as plastic free as possible, it's going to help get you to that green business stage. But there's a lot, even if you're a small business. Amazon has a lot of smaller quantities that you can buy, but yeah, consider all aspects of your business, from the product to packaging to how you're even getting your product delivered. There's definitely a lot of green options for those.
Yeah, I like what you said about really just thinking about every single thing that kind of gets to the point of getting the product to the customer. There's a green option for everything in between. So love that. And then, Perrin, I'd love to ask you the same question about creative ideas small business owners could consider to make their packaging or shipping more sustainable.
Yeah, thanks. I think, sometimes creative ideas are also simple ideas. And I think one that Brenda was touching on, working with your suppliers and knowing what you have. Talked about a lot of different new reusable green packaging ideas. I think, we have some customized packaging opportunities and solutions. A lot of our FedEx Express packaging is reusable and recyclable or made from recycled content. So trying to provide those options. I think our team, we have a packaging lab at FedEx, and that team can work with specific customers to sort of optimize your packaging, making sure you're using the right size box or not, or how you optimize for the packing material to keep your goods safe that's going around. And so we really want to think about the security of those contents in there, and durability, but also how can it be sustainable. I think, another thing that's very cool, wish maybe I can strive for this job later in life at the company, but that packaging lab also does some cool test runs for new packaging. So when we're talking about biodegradability, we also again want to protect against the contents inside that package. And so we'll put it on a test run of what it might be like to go through our network on the conveyor belts or moving through the network from plane to car to truck, etc. And so it's a really good way for us to learn more from what our customers are looking for, but additional feedback loop on how they would perform in the network too. I think the last thing I'll say is that data is key. Constantly, we've been talking about how the data around the package is as important as the contents inside it, and now we're adding sustainability as a layer into that. And so the FedEx Sustainability Insights tool is accessible now if you just have a shipping account, so you can get that information on the carbon emissions associated with your shipments. and start thinking about what choices for shipping make most sense for your business and your customers.
Wow, yeah, that is super helpful to think about the data as well, giving some feedback about what you can do. And when you mentioned even making sure you have the right size box, like there are so many steps in there that you can really ensure that your product is getting to your customers safely, it's getting to them in a quality manner, but it is more sustainable. I love that. Okay, so Brenda, I would love to ask you, how can running a sustainable business practices help your bottom line as a business owner?
I think it definitely pays to be a sustainable business. I want to talk about three with cost savings, market differentiation, and how it helps your brand value, and how it's helped us access a new market. If you're using energy efficient measures, waste reduction, resource conservation, it can lead to significant cost savings in the long run, and sometimes sustainable materials are even more cost effective. And for us, it has definitely helped us stand out in the market. It's helped our brand value. There's not a lot of companies out there, surprisingly, creating dog ear made out of recycled materials. So it's helped with us reaching consumers that value sustainability. We're attracting and retaining eco-conscious customers, so it can help enhance your brand reputation and help create a unique selling proposition. And as mentioned, we've been able to access new markets, new customers. Sustainability initiatives open the door to these new markets, especially since the demand for eco-friendly products and services is just increasing literally every day.
Yeah, I love like the three breakdowns, like you're standing out, the products can be even more cost effective, and you're tapping into a market of people. And those are the things they really care about. That is so key. Perrin, next question is for you. How has FedEx incorporated sustainability into its brand identity and communicated that commitment to its customers?
Sure. So I think to start here, I would say way I think about sustainability isn't so much as a product, but it's an operating principle. So like how does that feed into your decision making? And I like to talk about adding that lens into your toolkit. The same way we might look at speed or quality or cost. Let's add sustainability into that group or evaluation factors when we're making everyday decisions throughout the business. I think, on the FedEx side, you can see that in a number of ways. Our power assets, like our vehicles, you might see the branding on the side of that truck to indicate it's electric, or on our packaging, if it's reusable, have an indicator on there. So that's one way that it's communicated out with our customers. You may also, see other ways that a company values show up, like in our charitable giving or in how we communicate through our advertisements or online content. So just showing those things, but it's really not looking at any one of those decisions in isolation. It's that holistic approach. If it becomes an operating principle, they all feed in and complement one another. So I think that's really the intent there. I think the last thing I'll say is really like that brand identity can be, introspective and what you want to show up for, but also looking out at your industry at broad and how you want to show up for your industry, whether that be in the I guess in shipping and logistics, but also in any other commodities or work for your small business. And so what role do you want to play or think that you can lobby for that broader industry and get along with those sort of like-minded visionaries to move your industry forward, not just your brand. And I think that could be a way to set yourself apart. Again, making sure that that's an authentic role that you want to play. And one example of that, you may have seen that we made a large contribution to Yale University to help establish their Center for Natural Carbon Capture. So looking at nature as a model for how we can develop and understand through research the durable carbon removal credits and make that that lasting, meaningful impact within our environment. And so, again, just a way where we could convene and bring others in our industry. You know, aviation is one of those hard to abate sectors, and so how can we use our convening power and really work towards that change for the broader industry as well as for FedEx.
Yeah, that is really a wonderful way to kind of see yourself fitting into movement forward and sustainability just for the world. Is how do you want to move your industry forward? I had never really thought about that piece, and that every single business owner on this call has an opportunity to contribute to the moving forward of whatever industry they're in. That is really that's really awesome. Okay. Brenda, this next question is for you. How have your existing and potential customers responded to your business's priority around sustainability?
Yeah, they definitely resonate with our sustainability model. You know, a lot of them appreciate that our business is built to be as eco-friendly as possible, that we practice what we preach every day. And I like to be very transparent about what we do. Even for every purchase made, we give back 10% to rescue groups for animals and conservation. So we definitely want to educate and keep raising that awareness. And we also go out to local markets here in Los Angeles, and we like to educate the anyone who will stop by our booth because it is a new product. A lot of them don't know that you can make amazing things out of recycled plastic. So it goes back to raising that education and awareness. There's definitely growing interest in sustainable products such as our gear. We're attracting new customers and buyers because of our focus on sustainability. So it's definitely helped us stand out in the market. And we're proud to offer these products that align with a lot of the customers' values. You know, a lot of our customers are also eco-conscious. They want to buy products that they feel proud to own, that they know that they're not out there harmful in the environment. So I'm definitely happy with the response that we've been getting. And it's definitely a testament to the importance of sustainability in today's business landscape.
Oh, that's really great. I love what you said about I can make a purchase they feel good about, and it aligns with their values. That's wonderful. Okay, so before we jump into our last additional question for the conversation, I just want to remind everyone that we are going to have a live Q&A. So if you are in the audience and you're thinking about your own business and you want to ask a question to Brenda and Perrin, please go ahead and drop that in the chat so we can be sure to get to that in just a few minutes. All right, so for our last official question, Perrin, I'd love to start with you. What is one thing every small business owner should know about sustainable business practices?
Yeah, I think some of the things we've discussed, and maybe we'll get into more of it during the live Q&A. But going back to your toolkit and putting sustainability in that decision making criteria. But more generally, I'd say take the right next step for whatever makes sense for you and where you are in your journey. If you haven't started yet, this is a great first step to get that conversation going, but not to jump ahead sort of further than where you are. I think the goal here is progress, not perfection. So everybody on this call could be at a different stage, and you want to think about what's right for you. I think there's still plenty of questions out there. There's still plenty of risks that can be taken and thinking through. So just be mindful of that. And then I think I'll just compliment everybody on the call as small business owners that I think you already took a big risk in creating something new in the market. And so I think you're very well equipped to take on what it takes in sustainability. And so leaning on what you know best, which is your business, and then just adding that layer of how you think about it.
Oh, I love that. Yes, the entrepreneurial spirit is very strong. You have to be brave. And so you can definitely can make this next step in moving forward. I totally agree. And Brenda, I want to ask you the same question. What is one thing every small business owner should know about sustainable business practices?
Yeah, and I definitely agree that everyone on this call has already taken that first step. So you're already making progress. But being a sustainable business, it's not just a trend, it's definitely a shift in consumer behavior and market expectations. You see products out in a lot of stores every day that are new, and they're either made out of recycled materials or they're made from very eco-friendly materials. So embracing sustainability is not just good for the planet, but it's good for business. And aside from all else, where you can save on cost, improve your brand reputation, increase customer loyalty, it can help adapt your business to this changing world. So it's essential to use sustainability as part of a long-term strategy that not only benefits the environment, but it's going to help with your overall success and longevity of your business.
Yes, I love that. So much good information in this conversation. I feel like I've already learned so much about how you can find sustainable practices and plan for that in your business. And we're going to go ahead and move into the Q&A because there have been some really great questions that have been dropped in the chat. So one question, and please feel free, if you're listening, you have time to drop more questions in the chat. So I would love to start with Brenda for this and then move to Perrin. So I'm a small business owner and I want to engage with my local community in terms of sustainability. Like, where should I start? Brenda, I'd love to start with you.
Yeah. So the way that we get engaged is that we look to, I live in Los Angeles, so there's beach cleanups every month, every week. So at one point we did reach out to one of the bigger ones for the beach cleanup, which is like Surfrider. But you could start small, see what local conservation groups are out there, see how you can partner with them, even if it's whether if it's a donation or setting up a cleanup event. There's a lot of ways that you can work with them. But I think one of the greatest options is to reach out to those small local conservation groups because you guys can create an event and partner up for some amazing things.
Yeah, I really like that idea of creating an event. That's really fun. Perrin, same question for you. How can a small business owner who wants to engage with their community around sustainability, like where should they go?
Yeah, I'll try to give a personal perspective, and then, from FedEx, we're probably looking at it at a little different lens because local for us is global, in 220 countries around the world, and so we have a full platform of charitable giving and how we volunteer around the world with, again, local conservation groups, local cleanup groups, and even how we look at macro problems that we're trying to solve around urban mobility or electrification. Again, those things are important for us, and we want to help nonprofits and local communities come along with us in that journey, and we're just a part of that journey with them. So I do think, as Brenda had mentioned earlier, good steps you can take is around awareness. And so I think whether it's a conservation piece or not, the theme of the event could be around sustainability and what you could do in your local community or issues that you can raise awareness around with sustainability. So I think when we were doing introductions, lots of food or bakeries involved, or I think somebody even asked if we were golfers. So I can't claim that, or at least not any good. But if you're doing a fundraiser or an event, how to tie back those themes again at a broader awareness perspective, I think is a good way to do that.
Yeah, oh, love that. Okay, next question is for Brenda. What has been challenging about building your small business with sustainability at the center, and how have you tried to overcome those challenges?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I consider Studio Tail still a small business. So everything from shipping was always done with considering that we're sending out products to a smaller group. But as we've grown, I think the bigger challenge was shipping out to other boutiques. You're using more material. So trying to be as sustainable as possible as you grow has been more of a little bit more of a challenge. There's definitely more thought behind it. But as mentioned, there's so many green options. So it's just exploring what works best for your business and your product.
Yeah, I like that. Just, there is so many options. It just feels very attainable when we're having this conversation that you can think of things from different sides. Okay, this next question, it says, Brenda mentioned carbon credits. What are those?
Carbon credits, there's a lot of companies out there that can help store carbon. So you're basically you pay X amount to buy carbon credits. So it just depends on how much you want to purchase. And it also depends on your business. There's some calculations out there that consider how much electricity you use, how much you're shipping to calculate about how much carbon you're producing. So you'll once you get that number, then they'll say, okay, if you're producing X amount of carbon, like this is a package that you can purchase to store that carbon. Um, so that way you're also going carbon neutral. But there's a lot of companies out there. There's so many cool technologies out there that are storing that they're capturing carbon in the environment, and they're either storing it in facilities. There's technologies where they're storing it undersea. So it's a really great technology, and I think that's one of the greatest ways that you can take that initial step on going carbon neutral or just even being a sustainable company.
Yeah. Oh, that's super helpful. I was also curious about that question. So,
I will,
obviously,
if it's okay, Brittany, I will add just kind of a little bit on that. So as you're looking at your carbon footprint, I'd say typically one carbon credit is going to be equal to a ton of CO2 that you might emit through shipping, through product development, etc. And I think that it can be a good complementary opportunity for you, but you want to be very cognizant about who you're working with, because there are opportunities out in the market that aren't really, that you just want to be careful with in the carbon credits that might be generated, making sure that they are durable or long lasting. Our ultimate goal is not to be carbon neutral, but to draw down the actual carbon that's in the atmosphere and sort of sustain again that balance with our environment. So yeah, and those could be tree planting, or like very intentional tree planting, but there's a lot of technology in the market. It's continuing to evolve. And the last thing I'll say there is make sure that I said it was complementary, but you want to be focusing on yourself and what you can do to mitigate your own impacts first. And that's really sort of a complementary to make up what's left, is how I would think about it.
oh, that's really helpful. So kind of start where you're at, and then you can start looking at this carbon credit idea. Love that. Okay, so this question is interesting. It's asking about, like, basically, how do I even start to measure my sustainability so that I can share with it share it with my audience, or my clients. So what are some things that you measure in sustainability in order to promote that to your clients? Perrin, I'd love to start with you.
Yeah, it starts with measurement. So it can be a pretty large undertaking, but there are resources out there to kind of help you out with that. So I think what you're really doing, it starts with data. There are emissions factors associated with various different products, with different fuels, and so you're taking a full inventory of what impacts your business is making, and those are really categorized in 3 scopes. So it's scope 1, which is direct emissions from your business. Scope 2, which is typically associated with electricity, like your facilities, and then scope 3, which is coming from your supply chain. So it's going to be any number of ways where you get that data, and then you assign those emissions factors. So maybe getting a little technical here, but you would assign sort of a factor over there of and it would calculate how many tons of carbon your business might be putting out holistically. So
Gotcha. Okay, that is super helpful. So kind of understanding those 3 different categories, and then you can start the measurements there. Brenda, same question for you. How can I start to measure and then actually share with my clients what I'm doing?
Yeah, especially as a small business owner, just look within yourself first to see with your product how sustainable is it. Look at your packaging. Look at your how much electricity you're using, what web platform you're using. One of the biggest one is Shopify, and I know there's a lot of small business owners that use it. So they're also very they have strong eco-friendly campaigns. So just knowing who your partners are, who your vendors, your suppliers, look at everything that you have going on, analyze it, and see how you can start from there. Whether it's using more eco-friendly packaging to carbon neutral delivery, and just look to yourself and what you're doing and how you can start.
Yeah.
I think Brittany, just to add one more thing, and I saw another question in the chat just about certain manufacturers offering sustainable solutions. I think in some ways it's a chicken or an egg, but we as a feedback loop and customers, you get that demand, or you start making different choices yourself based on what your customer base or your stakeholders need. And so don't be discouraged not to ask the question, because that's going to create that demand, or other businesses are going to start looking for those financial economic opportunities for a new product sector or market for that. So just don't keep asking the question whether you see it there or not.
Yes, I really like that. Start that conversation. So if you aren't seeing what you want from your suppliers or whatever, you can actually open up that door for them to rise to the opportunity to create more sustainable options. I really like that. Okay, so this question's for Brenda. What are your go-to resources for finding green packaging products?
I like to look at what my favorite sustainable companies are doing. Like, I think a lot of everyone's favorite is Patagonia. So I look at their packaging whenever I get something new, I take a photo of it. I'll look to manufacturers for packaging to see what equivalent they have of it. But there's so many options. Like, Google is your best friend. Like, you can put in like eco-friendly fillers, mailers, packaging, and you'll get so many options to choose from.
Yeah, I really like that idea of going to, what you love and seeing where are they getting their stuff. That is such a great idea. And we are a huge fan of Google University. It comes up in almost every webinar. So yes, don't be afraid to put some things into Google. Okay, so this one is hold on, I'm just scrolling up because I want to make sure I get it. This is pretty specific question about just some ideas. If you guys have any ideas for this packaging, any thoughts or ideas on durable, sustainable packaging for biscotti, which I personally love to eat, but I don't know anything about shipping it. So are there any ideas on how it would be most effective or some sustainable ways to ship a food product like this, maybe a more delicate food product? Yeah, I will kick it to Perrin.
Yeah, I think I would want to defer you to our expert specifically, but I do know that when we're thinking about anything that might might be fragile moving through our network, there are ways to secure against that. And it's all, I mean, it's a ton of different materials and solutions based on your industry. So I'm not sure I could walk you through the process per se without just rambling on, but I know that we have some team members that's what they look at every day to make sure again that your experience with us is outstanding. Yeah.
I love that. And Perrin, if someone wants to talk with one of the experts from FedEx to make sure that they're shipping their product in the best way, where should they go?
Yeah, so I think our sustainability site has that customer solution on there. I'd say also if you have a customer service rep bringing that up, wanting to test solutions in the market, I'm sure they may also have data, or you may have that data around sort of delivery, and if you're having pain points or issues with it arriving safely, and it's sort of the contents arriving safely. So I think starting with that and where we can address.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Yes. So, get in touch with your rep, or you can look up the FedEx sustainability page. And I know someone asked if they could see more about Brenda, so I went ahead and dropped her link in the chat. But Brenda, did you have any ideas in terms of shipping something a little bit more delicate, like a food product?
As I mentioned, try to see what others are doing. You'd be surprised at what you can find online. If there's a company out there that you know that is similar to yours, like in food, you can put in what type of packaging materials that they're using. That way you can get a better gauge of where to start. But yeah, I would say start there. Look to what other similar companies are doing, to try to adopt some of those practices.
I love that. Okay, and I think this will be our last question for today. I'll keep an eye if anything else comes through the inbox that we can get to. But if I am a small business owner and I can only do one thing between now and the end of the year to become more sustainable, what can I do? And I'll start with Perrin and then we'll end with Brenda.
Yeah. Well, I think making kind of back to our last sort of question from the other section of the conversation is making that commitment around your aspirations. So again, if we're looking at progress, where doing that assessment of where you are, starting to think about how you can put that into your company or your employees' decision making, and then really start evaluating or looking at your product and the value you can bring to the market in that way, where you've got this as a criteria. So again, really thinking about that right next step for you, and then again balancing what are the goals you want to set and how you want to act on those goals or implement on those goals.
Yes, really like that. Between now and the end of the year, really thinking about where you want to be in your sustainability journey and getting clear on that. That sounds great. And Brenda, same question for you.
Yeah, start small. As mentioned, like if you start small, you'll start seeing big changes later on. And it could be as simple as reduce, reuse, recycle. There's so many choices that you can make today that will help set up your business for a more sustainable future.
Yes, I love that. Start small, start where you are, keep it simple, and just there are so many options for you to make your business more sustainable moving forward. So I really want to thank Brenda and Perrin for answering all those questions. Like I said, tomorrow you're going to get an email directly to your inbox that is going to have not only this recording, but some real quality resources that you can refer back to support you on your sustainability journey in your e-commerce business. A huge thank you to Brenda from Studio Tales and Perrin from FedEx for sharing their time and expertise. Another thank you to our partners at FedEx for continuing to support small businesses and e-commerce businesses. And thank you to everyone who joined today and took the time out to learn about making your business more sustainable. We know as entrepreneurs, you're very busy, you're wearing a ton of different hats, and we're super thankful for your time. We will see you in the future. Thank you, everyone.